Hi, I'm Tim Biegman, president and co-founder of Safari Montage.
I'm Helena Swanson-Nystrom. I'm the executive director of the Department of Curriculum Instruction and Digital Learning at Chicago Public Schools.
Hi, I'm Kara Thorstensen. I'm the director of Digital Learning and Libraries for Chicago Public Schools.
SkyLine is the district's universal digital curriculum. It's pre-K-12, and it is currently available in English language arts, math, science, social science, and 2 world languages, Spanish and French. And we are currently in the middle of developing Spanish language arts as well. So historically, Chicago Public Schools is a pretty decentralized district, and schools, and therefore, in many cases, individual teachers were responsible for developing or procuring their own curricular materials. As we all know, high-quality curriculum is one of the most important things that a school district can do or a school can do to close that opportunity gap. So SkyLine is the district's attempt to say, this is not your responsibility as a teacher to be developing these resources. We're going to give you high-quality, culturally responsive digital materials that support our English learners, support our diverse learners, and embed principles of social-emotional learning.
Students are issued one-to-one devices in a lot of different ways in Chicago. Some historically schools have taken the lead on that. In this case, now since COVID time, we've been trying to centralize that a little more. Predominantly, students use Chromebooks in the classroom, but we also have a lot of students using iPads and also Windows and Mac laptops in some cases. All the materials are digital. There are associated what we call non-digital materials, because for English language arts and then for our upcoming development for Spanish language arts, it was really critical to us that students be interacting with print books, like high quality trade text, so we don't have like a basal reader. And then for science, of course, there's science kits and hands-on learning materials, which is really essential. Just because the content is housed online doesn't mean that students are doing all their work just staring at a computer screen. Instead, that's where the teacher guidance materials are housed. It's where the learning materials are housed in the form of playlists, basically slide decks, but that's how we've utilized Safari Montage. And then with the curricular content, it was really essential that everything be interoperable because we have resources coming from a lot of different platforms and partners. And for the teacher and student user experience, we really wanted everything to be seamless. So we ask teachers to push learning materials out to their students via Google Classroom, which is the district's LMS solution. It's not really a full-bodied LMS, but it works for us. And so students interact with all of these learning materials online, but then when it comes to their activities in the classroom, most of their time is spent interacting with their colleagues, other students in the classroom, interacting with high-quality physical learning materials. And then if they are able to take devices home or have access to internet-connected devices at home, then they can also access these learning materials from home. Safari Montage is the district's learning objects repository. So this is a resource that the district has had access to for decades, like long before SkyLine was a twinkle in the eye of the district. Safari has initially provided both a library of curated high quality digital resources that were accessible to all users, as well as a way for the district at different points to broadcast student news, that kind of thing. Now at this point, it still offers those services, but we've really leveraged it to be the face and the home for all of this digital content. And so all the teacher learning materials, student learning materials, as well as interactives are all housed within there. And that is sort of the source of truth and the point of contact for all students and teachers with SkyLine materials. And that's it. We have a very close partnership with Safari, and we're really fortunate to have it as our learning objects repository. SkyLine is very innovative for Chicago because it's the first time in a very, very long while. The district's been around for almost 200 years, so it's possible there were other curricular initiatives before my time, that the district has offered a centralized curriculum. And what makes it unique is the digital format. So the district had done a lot of research and legwork exploring similar projects in other districts across the country, and found that there was a lot of drawbacks to a more traditional model of either teacher development of curricular content which many teachers are extraordinarily talented, but don't necessarily have a background in curriculum development or design. And also that print distribution of like binders or even district published materials is time consuming, very expensive. And then once it's printed or published, it's locked down. That's correct. The promise of digital learning materials is that not only can we update and adapt them and continue to make changes, which our team does. We're fortunate to have a large curriculum design team who can work on that in-house, as well as work closely with the vendor partners who originally supplied and designed the curriculum in partnership with CPS. But then we also are able to have teachers, and then we're hoping in the future even students, edit and adapt the learning materials to best support like their neighborhood or community. It's a very racially diverse city, and we want to see our students, when we say culturally relevant, we don't want it to just be culturally relevant for one culture or one background or one type of student or student group. And so we're still ironing out the details, but it's really exciting that we can maintain it and keep it fresh and current.
When we talk about the future of SkyLine, I think what's most exciting is what it means to be sort of an anchor, how CPS can be an anchor institution and SkyLine can sort of be an anchor product for the city. So if Boeing knows what the majority of 9th graders, 10th graders, 11th graders, and 12th graders are learning in their STEM courses, what does that mean for their hiring projections? Even more, what does that mean for their involvement in the district? Can they turn back around and say, hey, can we work with you to co-develop a unit? Because these are really this is the skills and the knowledge that we're looking for from a hiring perspective. The Field Museum, the Art Institute, when they know what the majority of a 4th grader is learning every February, how are they sort of shifting their programming and opening up their resources to every family and every student in CPS? So we're really, really excited about that.
Well, Chicago looked at a curriculum is it had to be relevant to Chicago. And what their partners provided in a baseline was not relevant the way they wanted. So the idea that they could take standards, whether it's One EdTech, IEEE, Google standards, and facilitate building a curriculum that used the objects associated to what they wanted to do and add objects, create an environment with interoperability that could not have happened in a traditional model of building a curriculum. So they have the ability to build a curriculum that's built to standards to reinforce some of the things that we've already discussed, like badging, digital credentials. They're all set up with standardization to build that, to provide an infrastructure from IT to curriculum that's transparent. And that's unique. Working the whole U.S., that's a very unique infrastructure. Unicorn plays a big role in that by supporting all the different standards that Chicago uses and providing the ability to understand an infrastructure. They build a path for Chicago to build what they want for outcomes.
Sure. So district leadership in 2018 determined that we needed universal curriculum, that we wanted to develop universal curriculum. And we started having conversations with state boards of ed, other large districts across the country to figure out, if you've already done this, what are the lessons that you've learned that we don't have to make the same mistake, or we can take advantage of your successes in certain areas. So we found through those conversations, there are sort of two traditional development models. One is that you just purchase off the shelf, your teachers have it, and you move forward. It's certainly the quickest. Unfortunately, we were finding that those national products really didn't meet the needs of our students. They weren't culturally responsive. They often didn't support English learners or diverse learners. So we didn't want to go that route. The other route, we did have conversations with districts that had built courses in-house, built curriculum in-house, which is wonderful from sort of a customization point of view. But we were finding that it was taking those districts 5 to 10 years just to build in 1 or 2 content areas. And again, we wanted to provide PK-12 across core content. So from those conversations, we tried to take advantage of the benefits of each of those models and then diminish the limitations of each. And we came up with a hybrid model. So the hybrid model is that we put out RFPs and we purchase base licensed digital content. So engage with national publishers, purchase those base licenses, and then entered into contracts with them in order to customize a portion of the content. So we brought in over 300 CPS teachers who gave feedback on those draft units. We brought in Ed Reports to co-develop custom rubrics for Chicago that defined high-quality, culturally responsive curriculum. The teachers then were able to use those rubrics and provide feedback based on that. But the other, and in some ways from a contractual perspective, bigger deal is that as part of those agreements with the partners, they agreed to disengage their proprietary content from their proprietary platform. So we centralized all of the curricular content within our technical ecosystem using interoperability standards in order to streamline the user experience.
For our curriculum design, the curriculum development, we contracted with Public Consulting Group with PCG to really custom develop a lot of English language arts content. There was a big need for ELA to be aligned to high quality contemporary texts, and that we weren't seeing in products or with subcontractors or partners that they were working with. So a lot of that was really custom designed. We also contracted with Public Consulting Group for math, and the base product for that is illustrative math. We worked with Amplify Science to build Science for K-8, and then have been developing Science 912 in-house. And then for Spanish and French, we contracted with Vista Higher Learning, Vista Santiana. We're also working with them and PCG and Public Consulting Group for Spanish language arts. And then on top of that, we are integrating supplemental learning materials via interoperability standards, including but not limited to Encyclopedia Britannica, which actually already had a relationship with Safari Montage, but we're trying to build upon the foundation that was already laid. And for social science, we contracted with McGraw-Hill to develop social science content in pre-K through 12. And in some of our other supplemental digital resources include Houghton Mifflin Harcourt's Amira that we're actively integrating right now. Some products from Gale Cengage Learning and a teacher-facing resource called Teaching Books. There's more to come. The district has a totally decentralized model right now for schools purchasing and utilizing supplemental learning resources, whether they are for intervention, just for additional research purposes, for learning in all content areas. We don't have the funding model to centralize those in one fell swoop, but we've developed a model where we're hoping to create a groundswell of interest in central office and network departments in making those purchases centrally, and with the it's not an incentive, with the promise that those resources selected and purchased centrally would be integrated into the SkyLine platform and be able to be utilized by teachers and students right alongside the core content.
So we are currently in our second year of implementation. SkyLine is being used in over 400 schools. Obviously, that looks different in different schools. You could adopt one science course in an elementary school, or you could adopt, K-8 ELA and math. But our utilization this year doubled from what it was last year. So we're really, really excited about that. And we're looking forward to year 3.